Morning, everybody. UFC 260 official weigh-ins about to get going. Apologize for a little tech issues there we were having, but we're up and running now. Commission is in place. Looks like we'll have our first fighter shortly. Your man Ken Hathaway up there, Cold Coffee, providing you this beautiful, high-quality visual video stream. Myself, John Morgan, I'll be tweeting out results, updating the site, shooting some photos, all that. If we get some breaks, we'll sit here and chat a little bit. Got a couple of scrums scheduled for after the face-offs today, so we'll just see how that whole day plays out. Sounds like we're ready to go, though, so let's get this thing started.
All right, thank you all for being here for the official weigh-ins for UFC 260, Miocic versus Ngannou 2, and we will begin in the UFC women's flyweight division. Main card offering here, 15th in the world, Jillian Robertson. $125.5, the official weight for Jillian Robertson. All right, moving on now to the UFC's lightweight division. This man will take part in the pay-per-view opener, Jamie Malarkey. $155.5, the official weight for Jamie Malarkey. All right, next fighter to the scale, making his third UFC appearance here tomorrow night in the light heavyweight division, Modestas Bukauskas. $205.5, the official weight for Modestas Bukauskas. All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC women's flyweight division, Miranda Maverick. $126, the official weight for Miranda Maverick. Now we go back to the UFC's light heavyweight division as we welcome Michal Oleksiejczuk. The official weight, 206 pounds for Michal Oleksiejczuk. All right, next up in the UFC's welterweight division, we welcome Abubakar Nurmagomedov. £170.5 the official weight for Abubakar Nurmagomedov. All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC's middleweight division, Azitar. $185.5 the official weight for Azitar. All right, next fighter to the scale, one half of the featured prelim live on ESPN tomorrow night in the light heavyweight division, Alonzo Menafield.
Even.
205 pounds, the official weight for Alonzo Menafield. All right, moving on now to the UFC's featherweight division. Please welcome Shane Young. Looking good, man. I like that. 145 and a half, the official weight for Shane Young. All right, next fighter to the scale. You can see him compete live on pay-per-view tomorrow night. The UFC's bantamweight division, Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Even.
136 pounds, the official weight for Sean O'Malley. wide open. Let me know. When I can come, I'm not far from anywhere in South Florida. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. I mean, that state's growing. I'm actually in my Chandler. So I don't know. Yeah, and that's top five. Yeah, well, let me know. Yeah, I'd love to connect.
Nice thing you said there.
All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC's bantamweight division, one half of a featured bout live on pay-per-view, Thomas Almeida. The official weight, 136 pounds for Thomas Almeida. All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC's middleweight division, he is Marc-Andre Barrio. 185 pounds, the official weight for Marc-Andre Barrio.
Yeah, leg press machine. I love that machine. I haven't seen it in a while. The hips, that's common. That's easy. You could do that anywhere. And box jumps. That height is smaller than what I made you do. Seattle.
This girl who recently performed
None of
just
those
lifted weights and got better.
Yeah, but none of those exercises that low is nothing.
Well,
that you
she
can't
just broke her elbow, so she's really happy.
do. Yeah, probably. So she's focusing on legs and hips mostly there. She can't do anything up her body.
All right, everybody, if you're just tuning in, we've had about, I believe 12 fighters so far of the 20 scheduled to weigh in. Just a half hour into this potential 2-hour weigh-in session. If you want to get full results, you can head over to MMA Junkie. You've got all the up-to-date results over there. We'll also have video highlights and a photo gallery of everything when we're done. Of note, we have not seen our main event fighters yet. Of course, that's pretty typical for heavyweights. The face-offs are at 11 a.m. local, and they have to come back for them. So there's really, to be honest, no advantage to them to get here early, because then they just have to sit around and wait for the face-off. So usually with heavyweights, they're typically a little later in the afternoon. We also have not seen our co-main event fighters either. Vicente Lucay, Tyron Woodley, we were waiting on them as well. But Thomas Almeida, Sean O'Malley both came in at 136 pounds. Miranda Maverick, 126. Jillian Robertson, 125.5. Jamie Malarkey, 155.5. And we are still waiting on his opponent, Kama Worthy. On the prelims, we were waiting for Fabio Charon, Jared Gooden, and Omar Morales. Everybody else has made weight thus far. Like I said, if you want full results, head on over to MMA Junkie. Unpopular opinion, ask Abu Azitar what's in his bag. Didn't Ali say it was potatoes? I'm not buying that either. It wasn't potatoes. We'll see. Yeah, I imagine if he wins on Saturday night and he'll be speaking to the media backstage, I imagine that question will certainly be coming up. Stephenson Ngannou has improved, so Stipe wins 49-46 instead of 50-44. So interesting, right? I mean, we saw this fight before, and it was such a one-sided fight that on one hand, it's pretty easy to make the case, well, hey, I bet we see that again. And on the other hand, you got a guy in Francis Ngannou that can put your lights out with one shot. You know, he'll always have that opportunity to win the fight, so it's intriguing. I mean, obviously, neither of these guys are big trash talkers. So not a lot of pre-fight build-up, that sort of thing. But, I mean, it's the UFC heavyweight title. It's, you know, potentially the greatest of all time in the heavyweight division. Certainly, you know, the record setter. And then Francis Ngannou, one of the most exciting guys, you know, in the history of the sport, right? So it's exciting. It'll be tense for sure. And then the small cage, of course, of the UFC Apex looks like potentially the final pay-per-view card, not in front of a sold-out audience. So we'll see. Matt Reed, who you got in the co-main event? All right, listen, we were talking about this last night on the road show. I took Vicente Lucay in my pre-fight picks. We turn our picks in, but like on Tuesday for our staff picks. And I took Vicente Lucay, but Tyron Woodley, if you haven't seen his pre-fight media day, go check it out. Man, the guy seems more dialed in than he's been in a long time. And I do think if he's, you know, 100% vintage Tyron Woodley, he's got a great chance to win. But, you know, he's had the losses. But you look at the losses, the 3 in a row, you're talking about the number 1, 2, and 3 in the world. You know, it certainly looked flat the last time out, but he seems incredibly dialed in. I think if he does fight at 100%, you know, he's got an opportunity to win the fight. So I'm very, very intrigued by that. Tiger Bomb, what do we do if Francis dominates Stipe on the ground? As we were talking about, right, like if Francis wins this fight, Stipe probably deserves a rematch, right? But what if Francis like dominates him on the ground for 5 rounds? Don't necessarily see that happening, but it would be pretty funny. Francis by 5th round flying. In my head, I thought you were going to say flying triangle. Flying knee would be pretty impressive as well. Flying triangle would be absolutely insane. If Stipe beats Ngannou, then he's the heavyweight GOAT. Agu Tempa, a lot of people say he is already the heavyweight GOAT, at least in the UFC. I mean, certainly you got the Fedor Emelianenko argument out there as well in terms of all-time heavyweights. But, look, he's got the records in the UFC. It's pretty hard to deny that, you know? Vishnu said Ngannou's going to do the body shot challenge in the octagon with Stipe. That would be a bit of a mistake. Flying Imanari roll. All right, there you go. Jay Singh calling it now. Stipe via twister. Ah, thanks, Max. Appreciate you. If Stipe gets KO'd by Francis, there will be no third match. It gets interesting, right? Because you want to get John Jones in the mix. I mean, John Jones, potentially the greatest of all time, moving up to heavyweight. You want to get him in the mix. But if Francis wins this, I mean, doesn't Stipe deserve a rematch? Now, maybe, maybe Francis, if Francis wins, maybe Francis wants to turn around faster and face John Jones. And maybe Stipe waits until the end of, sometime next year or something like that. So, you could still do both. But, if Francis wins and Stipe says, look, I want the rematch right away, and what do you do with John Jones, right? So, kind of interesting. Callie, all word that Julija Stoliarenko was fine after fainting. Obviously, that was a scary scene, but turns out she was good. Ruhi Kod says, mark my words, Francis will win by unanimous decision. Can't tell you that, Mayor. That'd be incriminating myself. Yeah, Tanzania, you're right. I mean, it happens sometimes, right, where you get a group of fighters that are kind of all stuck together. But it's a hell of a group of 3 fighters. How many Cejudos will it take to beat Francis Ngannou? Your Bud Enigma says Francis KOs Stipe, KOs Jones, and gets KO'd by Lewis for the title. That would be crazy, and it could happen. It could happen. Ziggy. It's John Morgan. I don't know who this Jonathan guy is. Stipe is underdog, but Francis is a powerhouse. It's crazy to me that Stipe is an underdog. That said, I did pick Francis in my staff picks, so we'll see. We'll see. I know it sounds crazy because Stipe could go out there and just absolutely dominate over the course of 5 rounds and make me feel like an idiot. No clue, Dustin. Kind of depends on how many media members there are. A lot of times there's not many of us there during the pandemic era. So we end up asking a lot more questions than we used to when there was a whole bunch of media around. Do you see Cyril being in the top 3 mix? I do think Cyril's got that kind of talent. He needs some time, obviously, but definitely do see him as that kind of talent, man. He's legit. Woodley getting cut if he loses. I don't know. Depends on how it goes, I think. Hang on one sec. Seeing some movement. Maybe we're back. Mayo Poirier versus McGregor sounds like it's going to happen. I mean, it seems like it's been the case all along. Summertime. Oh, nope, never mind. Commission goes back in. Your bud, I've been doing this I joined Junkie in 2006, so 15 years. I don't understand what. Do you think Stipe is an underdog, Chase? No, I mean, he just is. I mean, that's not debatable, right? I mean, when we talk about underdog and favorite, we're talking about betting lines. So he is the underdog, but no, I don't think he should be. I mean, it's hard to should be. I mean, betting lines aren't necessarily an indicator of who people think are going to win. Betting lines are designed so that you get money on both sides of it, and the house, is profitable. So sometimes it's a complicated thing to cite odds as indicator of public opinion, but no, man. I mean, I think if you're just saying, I think Stipe should be the favorite, but you never know. BP, do you think? I love Julian Robertson. She's such a fun fighter to watch, and that is a tough assignment, Miranda Maverick. A very, very tough assignment. So I'm very intrigued by that one. 41-42 says after Poirier knocks McGregor out again, Connor's stock will drop dramatically. It's an interesting debate, right? Like, I mean, Conor McGregor is the biggest star in the history of the sport. There's no question about it. If he loses again, I mean, I think he does need to win soon. I mean, he's still going to be a huge star. There's still going to be marketability. All right, hold on. I'm about to time out this dude. I don't know what all the picture thing that was being copied and pasted in there, but we're gonna get rid of that. It's ruining the discussion. So anyway, look, Conor's still going to be a star, and he's still going to be marketable. And there's going to be people that don't know. I mean, look at how many people were interested in Chuck and Tito when they fought a third time, right? I mean, because people know the name. People that don't watch the sport know the name. So he'll still be marketable. He'll still be able to be in big fights. But it will take a little. I think it's important for him to get a win. I think it's important for him to show that it's not just the past. You know what I mean? And to be honest, if he loses again, how many more times does he want to fight? You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's interesting. He'd still be marketable, but I don't know. All right, what else we got here? Somebody said who hasn't weighed in your bud. Check over to MMA Junkie, where we are waiting on both fighters in our main event and both fighters in our co-main event. So some very high-profile weigh-ins yet to happen. You can see the full results over to MMA Junkie. Then we'll have photo gallery, video highlights, all that good stuff coming up. Igo said if Stipe wins, he should fight Artem next, right? You got to see who the GOAT is. Unpopular opinion, Apex Wi-Fi holding up strong so far, but now you got to knock on wood. You probably just jinxed it right there. Can anyone be in the MMA media? You have to take a test. No, there's not an MMA media entrance exam. Jesus, thank you, sir. Lucay's gonna finish Woodley. Unpopular. I tweeted at the UFC last week and complained. Appreciate it. Mike, Mikhail, you think John Jones goes back down to light heavyweight? I don't know. See, he says he has no interest in it, but I don't know. If he loses, he's unsuccessful, especially if it's bad. I'd see him. Like, I could see him going back down to 205. Prashant, no main or co-main yet. We haven't seen either guy. Your bud, Enigma asks. If you're asking me where I'm from Dallas. That's where I was born and raised, but I've lived in Vegas for like 13 years. Do you think Israel fights Jones? Shazir, I don't think there's as much interest for that right now. Man, if he'd have won that fight against Jan, now there's some interest. There's still some beef between them, so it could happen at some point, but I think there's a lot less demand for it now. Tanzim, why does Chandler get a title shot? Well, come on, man. He came in and made an incredible first impression. Former Bellator champion. His stock is never going to be higher than it is right now. So I think you do it. And, Dustin Poirier didn't want the title shot right now. And I think that's the key. Dustin Poirier didn't want the title shot right now. He said, give me that trilogy fight with Conor. Let me cash in as much money as I can. And, because it's a bigger money fight. And had they not even offered it to him or had they not even, considered him, I think that would have been a travesty. But he made it clear he wants that one. Jens, I'm good, man. Pulse, you from Dallas? That's what's up. You think Jorge can put Usman away? Kenneth plays. I'm still picking Usman in that fight, man. But Jorge is dangerous. So, him and Oh, sorry, I got to answer a question here real quick. I got a text message. All right, apologies. Had to pull away there for a second. Payment. I sent payment part. I actually picked Francis here, but I have a feeling Stipe might potentially make me feel foolish if he executes like he did last time. Chimbraza, yeah, a lot of people have waited. I believe we had 12 people weigh in total. I think we're waiting on 8 more, but we're waiting on both main event fighters, both co-main event fighters. As far as do you need a COVID vaccine, Brian, I don't know. We're still waiting, to be honest, on all the logistics. We were told by the end of this week or early next week we'll have an understanding what all the logistics are. Derek, I did pay my internet bill. Thank you. That was pretty funny. King James, you got to look at the whole picture too, though. You're talking about his track record in Bellator, and again, you're never going to have more marketability for him than right now. So, I do think he's deserving. Again, talking about the lightweight title shot. I mean, I think again, I would have liked to seen Dustin Poirier in there, but Dustin Poirier said, "I'm okay with that. I want to fight Conor again." So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the matchup. Pierce, it is. John Morgan. Justin Gaethje deserved that title shot. Yeah, I wouldn't have had I really honestly wouldn't have had a problem with that either. Logan, the Houston pay-per-view will be full attendance as well. Dana has made it clear they're not going to any arenas unless they can sell the place out. So we don't know what that means. And for is there going to be a bubble for athletes? Is there going to be a bubble for journalists? Is there going to be mask recommendations in the arena? We don't know any of that stuff right now. And trust me, I've asked. So we're waiting on details, and we're told we'll have them soon. J-Dev, Masvidal, that just goes to show his star power, to be honest with you. Look, and let's not forget, Usman wanted that fight. And when the champ asked for you, hey man, you get the benefit. So Pierce, thank you, brother. Much appreciated. Nigel, and I'll just say it for anybody that's just joining in, we've actually had a little bit of a break here. I think we probably had a good 15 minutes or so that we haven't had anybody weigh in, but we've had 12 of 20 fighters weigh in so far. Nobody has missed weight, but your main and co-main, we're still waiting on both fighters, so we haven't seen any of them. But if you want to see up-to-date results, head over to MMA Junkie. Got the full results there. Then we'll have a photo gallery and video highlights after. By the way, we'll also be heading over this afternoon. Triller Fight Club, the boxing thing, they have a press conference. They were pretty smart, I think, and piggybacked off the UFC event here, and they're doing a press conference here in Vegas. So Ben Askren, Jake Paul, Frank Mir will be there, that whole crew. So we'll be bringing you some highlights from over there this afternoon as well. So we got a busy day here in Vegas. King James, just one of lightweight strap holders willing to fight 3 or 4 times a year. That's tough. I think 2 to 3 times is, but I'm with you. I mean, keeping it busy is good, but 3 to 4 times a year is tough. 2, I think for most UFC title holders, you're talking about 2 times a year, 3 maybe. You know, that's a rarity these days. Ruhi, that presser is at, I want to say 2 p.m. Pacific is when that presser is. Yes, 2 p.m. Pacific. And then they're going to have one-on-ones and such afterwards. So we'll have some videos there. 141-42 coming in from Spain. All right. Good afternoon, early evening over in Spain, I guess. Are you Triller? No, Triller's not doing the event in Vegas. They're doing it in Georgia, in Atlanta, but they're doing a press conference here. Paul's Frank Mir, I don't think he's broke. I don't think he minds the money. He does have a big family with a lot of kids. But I think he knows that, you know, that kind of window of competition is closing. I think he wants to have fun, you know, and if he can get paid to do it, then he can.
He's in the building. I haven't put eyes on him.
All right, you hear that? Stipe is in the building. We're hearing from production staff here, so sounds like maybe we'll get Stipe here shortly. Mark Fellows, what's going on, brother? 8 people left, but you tuned in at a good time. We still have our main event and our co-main event yet to weigh in, so you picked a good time, Mark. Corporate, yeah, as long as internet holds up over there, I believe we'll stream the press conference as well. That'll be up to our man Ken Hathaway, Cold Coffee over there. He's the one handling all the video logistics, but I imagine if we got internet over there, he'll stream. He enjoys bringing all this stuff to you live for sure. Mike, thank you, sir. Much respect. I appreciate that. All right, commission getting back in place. I imagine we're getting back to business. We'll join you back here in a few. Or not. Got the tease. But we did hear Stipe was in the building, so perhaps Stipe is next. I'm not sure.
All right, next fighter to the scale is the man around whom this fight card was built, the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Stipe Miocic.
£234.
234, the official weight for the champion, Stipe Miocic.
I'm not moving.
You know.
What is he doing over there?
All right, next fighter to the scale is the #1 UFC heavyweight contender in the world out of Bati, Cameroon, Francis Ngannou.
$263.
263 pounds, the official weight for Francis Ngannou. Your UFC heavyweight championship main event is official.
Who's going to stop? Yeah. No, I'm going to go this way.
Okay.
The security guy's like, yes, sir, go right ahead.
That's a much better way anyway, now that I think about
He
it.
doesn't talk to me that way.
Much better way.
Let me get these rose petals out of your way, sir.
All right. Oh, that would have been so fun.
All right, next fighter to the scale, taking part in the co-main event live on pay-per-view tomorrow night in the UFC's welterweight division, 10th ranked Vicente Lucay.
$170.5.
170.5 pounds, the official weight for Vicente Lucay.
Or do you
All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC's featherweight division, Omar Morales.
Even.
146 pounds, the official weight for Omar Morales. All right, next fighter to the scale, making his pay-per-view debut to kick off the main card here live tomorrow night in the UFC's lightweight division, Worthy.
$155 and a half.
155 and 1/2 pounds, the official weight for Worthy.
I thought the same thing.
All right, if you're just joining us, just 3 fighters left to weigh in at this point. Tyron Woodley, Fabio Charon, Gooden. We believe Tyron Woodley is actually going to be next. We heard he was on the way in, so Tyron should be next. Main event is official. Stipe Miocic, 234 pounds. Francis Ngannou, 263. For the rest of your results, going over to MMA Junkie, we've got them all listed there and up to date. We'll have a full photo gallery as well. We'll have video highlights, all that good stuff. Face-offs are set to be here at 11 a.m. Pacific. After that, we're set to have scrums with Daniel Cormier and Aljamain Sterling. We've heard there's a possibility of Miesha Tate, but that's not guaranteed. We just know that she's scheduled to be here, and they're going to try to bring her to the media if possible. Don't know that we'll get Dana White today. Typically, if he's been doing the press conference the day before, he hasn't been doing media scrums afterwards, so that's always kind of a game time decision. But that's kind of the rest of the day so far. Barcode the Gainer. Yes, we will be heading over to that as well. So, yeah, that's the other thing going on. I imagine we'll try to stream it live if we can. But, yeah, we will be covering that press conference later today, Askren versus Paul. California love. Oh, here comes John Ennick. I guess we're getting back to business.
All right, next fighter to the scale, competing live on pay-per-view tomorrow night in the co-main event. He is the former undisputed UFC welterweight champion of the world and the chosen one, Tyron Woodley.
even.
171 pounds, the official weight for T. Wood.
It's all good though. It's supposed to be 15 minutes, so we don't eat like the whole full thing. It should be like a 15 minutes.
Cool.
That's good.
And then the idea is to start a new one. Start all over again. Because it really should tie into the building, the red cross.
Yeah, but
Tender EMG looks more thought
UFC.
UFC EMG. It's time to step it up and get another look.
I thought Vic was creating it.
Supposedly, but you know how he processes.
Hang on, I'm like 30 seconds. All right, everybody. About half an hour left here to go. Just two people left to weigh in. Fabio Charon, the newcomer that's facing Alonzo Minifield, replaced William Knight earlier this week. Stepped in on just a couple of days' notice. He's still left to weigh in, and then Jared Gooden is also left to weigh in as well. So those are the last two. If you want to check out full results, head over to MMA Junkie. Just to run through the key ones, Stipe Miocic, 234 pounds. Francis Ngannou, 263 pounds. Vicente Lucay, 170.5. Tyron Woodley, 171. Check out full results over at MMA Junkie. And we'll have a photo gallery, video highlights, all that afterwards. Just so you're aware of what's going on the rest of the day. Face-offs are scheduled to be at 11 a.m. Pacific. And we'll carry those. We're also scheduled to have media availability with Daniel Cormier and Aljamain Sterling. We hear there's a possibility of Miesha Tate, but we're not sure yet. And then after that, we're actually going to head over to the Venetian for the Askren versus Paul press conference that's in town as well. So we'll have coverage there. Well, I don't think I can say your name, sir, but Woodley was one of the last away, and he just weighed in probably 5 minutes ago or so. There you go, Verhoofdy. 10 minutes ago. I lost track. I was over there processing photos. So 10 minutes ago. SP, you got to maybe do time conversions for you? California love. Weather's beautiful out here. A little windy today, but we're getting a nice 70 degrees. April and October, the two best months for weather in Vegas. If you ever want to travel to Vegas, pick April or October. Hal from Chicago. What's going on, brother? Doug, I'm doing my best, man. I'm trying to keep my voice down. I get too excited and I get loud, and I'm on everybody's stream, and all the other people complain. They're like, bro. Shout out to Mark Fellows. Hey, Kenny, Mark Fellows is like, does Hot Tea got a spare water or protein bar? Shout out to the... Hot Tea, the Hot Tea, the temporarily not drinking hot tea.
Today's the end of the detox.
Today's the end of the detox. Oh, he did a 2-week detox, so he turned us down on the MMA Roadshow last night. Mark Fellows wanted to know if you had an extra protein bar or a cup of water, he could borrow from you.
Why?
They told me how the other presser, when I was trying to get you to get food, you're like, I have 2 protein bars.
All right.
We were like, who's this guy?
Yeah, well, when you go on a 4-day bender and think you're dying and having a stroke on Sunday, I was like, yeah, I need to take it. Like, literally was lying in bed being like, so this is it. This is how I go. It was crazy. I was like, whoa, holding my heart and shit. Anyway.
But once you get over that hump, it's all easy from there.
Now I feel great, so now it's time to ruin that. To be fair, I actually have started being grumpy, and that usually indicates I need a big stuff.
It's time for a cocktail. I mean, we don't even start till like 5 p.m. tomorrow or something, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're obligated to drink tonight just to make sure you don't wake up too early. That's the thing as well. By not drinking, I'm waking up at 5 in the morning. It's not healthy.
It's not good, man.
It's probably worse for you.
Nothing happening good at that time.
Probably worse for you. I usually go to bed around then. Here's a question for the audience. Do you think 29 pounds makes a big difference?
You know what? Somebody just asked that. Justin T just said, do you think 29-pound difference plays a factor in the main event? To be honest, like, I really don't, right? Like, I mean, the thing is, it's either Francis lands the big shot or he doesn't, right? I mean, that's what it all boils down to.
Yes. Okay, I think, like, it's because we've been here for so long, we've sort of forgotten it. I'm so curious about seeing them in the small cage.
Oh, I know. I know. It's
But
super
Stipe did
tiny.
well against DC in it.
I know. it's not the end all be all, but it is like there's no room to get away, like especially for heavyweights, especially Francis. I mean, Francis, like literally, if you reached out, he could probably almost touch both sides.
I can't decide whether it benefits Stipe for the wrestling or if it just benefits Francis for closing the distance.
I know.
Like Francis
Could go
could
either
just
way.
do his Rosenstrike like, "Rah!" and he would be there, you know.
That's what's so crazy, right? Like I was thinking about that too. Like we've been talking about, okay, he's so much better, he's improved, he's done that. Like that fight against Rosenstrike was just like chaos.
Yeah,
like
that
he
was a
could have
bar
gotten
fight.
he could have gotten clipped just as easy, and then we go, well, it's
I don't know what he was doing there. But it's funny as well because they're saying leading into this fight he's cornered, and it could be true that he's much better about pacing himself. He's not just going crazy. I was like, well, the last time he was out there, he did just that. Flew at Rosenstrike and just went.
Yeah, he can't do that. You got to think. I would honestly think the first round, like they probably wanted, because I don't think they're afraid of getting knocked out by Stipe, right? So I think the first round, like you would almost say, like, dude, like give him that round, like let's just
get into the rhythm,
yeah, you know what I mean?
I think you'll know within the first minute and a half if Francis has evolved mentally.
I feel like he has.
I think so too. But
you look at his demeanor. You look at.
But if he gets in there and
just starts clinching
first 30
up
seconds, you just see him like, then you know he's like, oh, he's right back there. Because well, he's a really nice guy, and they don't have a beef. I'm sure Francis will get in there and be like, this is the guy who embarrassed me last time. You know, this is that guy. Maybe he'll
snaps a little bit. He's angry.
Ironically enough, and then Francis loses this, and they do the Derek Lewis rematch again right after he lost to Stipe, and then again it's like a.
That'd be crazy. Certainly, when they put those two back together, it won't be like that again.
Derek Lewis has improved a lot as well. Yeah. Now I think of that fight, that's a great fight. It's just so disappointing the first time.
That fight was like, can't miss, gotta tune in. This is gonna be the greatest fight ever.
Other fans appreciative of the hot tea, John?
Probably not.
Yeah, they're like, can you tell this guy to get out of here?
It's usually the case. I still have nightmares about what I said on our last pod. Someone listened to it and I was like, oh. People criticizing Sean O'Malley and his coach. I was like,
Too funny.
Yeah, I'll go on.
So what did we decide? We're doing DC and then we're all going?
We're doing DC, Aljamain, maybe Misha.
And that's it.
Just getting
Yeah, but you've lost two already.
But we
I know,
but,
but I mean,
but we lost.
break down a bunch of shit and get over there.
Well, why doesn't one of you got?
Lots of things that if it was only going to be a couple, I was contemplating staying, but we're just
We've no guarantee on Misha either.
We have no guarantee on Misha. They just said that she's here.
Well, she just did the desk, so hopefully she's in the main media. But well, you guys go and
I should
enjoy
go
it.
take 30, 20.
You guys go and enjoy your press conference, and I'll just go home.
Why are you not going?
Not allowed.
He didn't
I
get.
could only do virtual. I gotta get out of fucking bed for virtual.
Fernie G, I just didn't answer because I get asked that every single week. That's why I didn't answer.
What? Why you asked the first question?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
I actually got a DM from a random fan being like, why does John ask the first question? I was like, DM him!
The other day?
What's that?
Why you got told? That's why you get the first question.
Oh, that's true. I did. Yeah. Somebody asked if it's because I have kidnapped somebody or something. I was like, I can't reveal the sources. You know, it'd be terrible.
I got a nice question from Stipe yesterday. I was like, chin. Few and far between.
I was just going to take the mic and say, oh, wait.
Oh, well, you would have been a
He
dick.
kept looking at my mask.
That would have been pretty funny if he.
Trying to say something.
It would have been pretty funny if he yelled.
I like the idea that next time Stipe talks, he has to wear his mask and it just completely be unintelligible. Need subtitles. He's speaking English, allegedly.
Oh man. All right, 20 minutes left. 2 fighters left to weigh in. Full results over at MMA Junkie. Photo guy. That was the legendary Hot T, aka Oscar Willis from the World MMA Award nominated The Mac Life. Frequent guest on the MMA Roadshow with John Morgan. He's settling back in his chair over there now. We found out he didn't get credentialed for the Askren versus Paul press conference this afternoon, so interesting. No, Mark, I haven't heard on that. I want to get an update on that. See, I think we talked about it before. I mean, it seems like they'd want to do that as quickly as possible. Umair. I like the co-main event a lot, and I'm intrigued, man. I feel like, Tyron Woodley, big moment for him, right? I mean, the losses are frustrating, but they're the 1 through 3 in the world, as we talked about before, man. They're the absolute top of the division. And Vicente Lucay, a guy on the up. If he's at 100%, I think he can win. If he doesn't, it's a big one. Exactly, King James. Somebody's got to. Thank you, California Love. I appreciate that. That's right, Mark. He is in danger. He turned us down. Believe that? He's like, at least he knows he has no self-control. I mean, you could come do the podcast and not have a frosty beverage, but he knew there's be no way for him to control himself.
When was the last time you went to
Me?
a long time?
Before I was 21? No, I take that back. I went like 9 months for one, like when I was like 25. Yeah, so I'd say it's probably been about 16 years. Yeah, it should be a good show. Verhoofdy. I totally forgot about the Titan games, Ron Swanson. It's quality trash talk there. No face-offs. Yes. So they're scheduled for 11 a.m. Pacific time, so about 12 minutes from now. Or excuse me, 17 minutes from now. I apologize. I was looking at my clock wrong. We still have 2 fighters left to weigh in. Fabio Charon and Jared Gooden are the last 2 to weigh in. If you want to see the full results, head on over to MMA Junkie. Come on, falling in and out of love. That's a catchy tune. It's a catchy tune. All right, production has called John Ant to get back in duty, so I imagine that means we got some fighters on the way, or at least one fighter. And did they say 1 or 2? 2 to go, but I think just 1 right now? Okay. So it sounds like we got one of our final 2 fighters in the building. Just heard commission say it's Fabio, so it looks like Fabio Charon is next. Derek Hall, absolutely, man. Just throw it in the mail and I got you back, dog.
All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC's light heavyweight division, set to make his UFC debut here tomorrow night, Fabio Charon. 206 3/4 for Fabio Charon. $206.5 for Fabio Charon, who will have an additional hour to cut the final half pound, if the doctors allow him to do so.
All right, Jared Gooden, your final fighter to weigh in is here as well. So we get that final weigh-in, although we'll wait to hear on Fabio Charon, who was given an additional hour as long as doctors clear him to do so.
And our final fighter to weigh in this morning in the UFC's welterweight division, Jared Gooden. $171 3/4 for Jared Gooden.
Huh. $171.5 for Jared Gooden, who will also have 1 hour to cut that final half pound if he is cleared to do so by the medical personnel on hand.
live on the screen, so hold on first. So, once they move everything, we'll do it all at once, but I just don't know when they're going to see my shot.
Yeah. She was not. First they didn't play. First she was Where's the timestamp?
It's unclear. Go for it now, sir. If you want to get your mic, go for it now.
It's already tiny. Yeah, you recently said, who do you recently say it to?
That's fine. You got your microphone? Yeah. Okay. They're gonna move the scale, so I wanted you to get it. Thank you.
Heidi, did you hear at all? Did you hear if the two are going to continue cutting or not? Yeah, especially with only a half pound, right?
So he's going to do the face off, so put the scale back on.
Or weighing back there, I guess.
Use that as a headline.
Yeah, because they all use like brother,
Right.
as like friend.
down to the goose tomorrow night on Raw.
All right, no update on the two fighters that missed weight, whether they'll be given the extra an hour. They have to be cleared by the doctor, but they both looked okay, and there was only a half pound to go, so I'm guessing they will be. So that would be Jared Gooden and Fabio Charon, who both missed weight by just a half pound. Face-off's coming up next, so I'm going to go slide over into position there. We'll stream those. Man, Cold Coffee, Ken Hathaway's on that beautiful, high-quality stream up there. And after that, we're set to have media availability with Daniel Cormier and Aljamain Sterling. We're hearing rumors maybe we'll get Misha Tate, but we don't know that for sure. And after that, we're going to pack up and head over for the Askren versus Paul press conference. So we'll have coverage of that at MMA Junkie as well. I'm going to go slide into position to shoot photos of these face-offs.
No knee on tape? Studios.
Yeah.
Give a guy a new toy and everybody does it.
Yeah, right. Think they'll try to keep doing it when they go on the road again? Like,
To some degree, yeah.
but obviously it's a lot easier when you control the whole move.
Exactly. But like Jackson last year, we didn't get a range show like this.
Right. But he still did
And I don't
something.
know that show translates to a shot that you see venue
Right.
the same way it does on a stage.
Right.
So, but there'll be a talking head show for sure. I think they like it.
Yeah.
Especially when
Kind of keep the
make
interest
it up
there.
yourself. You put more material out there for other things you can use, you got to generate it. So long.
Speaking of things that only stay in the bottom so long.
All right, thank you all for being here. UFC 260, Miocic versus Ngannou 2. Handsome McMaynard is in the building. We are going to stare these ladies and gentlemen off. We are going to begin with a welterweight bout. Jared Night Train Gooden versus Abubakar Nurmagomedov. Jared Gooden is going to then go try to cut the final pound, half pound I should say, and he will be here in a moment. Here's Jared Gooden. All right, now we'll reset it back to the top of the fight card. This bout in the middleweight division live on UFC Fight Pass and ESPN. Marc-Andre Barrio versus Azitar. Good intensity there. We will now move on to a batch of 3 prelims you can see live on ESPN. First up in the featherweight division, Smokin' Shane Young versus Omar Venezuelan fighter Morales. All right, next up in the UFC's light heavyweight division, Modestas Bukauskas versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. All right, in our featured prelim bout in the UFC's light heavyweight division, Atomic Alonzo Metafield versus Fabio Water Buffalo Charon. Alonzo Metafield, Fabio Charon in our featured prelim live on ESPN tomorrow night. And that brings us to the main card for UFC 260 live on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. First out of the chute in the lightweight division, Jamie Malarkey versus Kama the Death Star Worthy. All right, next up in the UFC women's flyweight division, Jillian the Savage Robertson versus Miranda Fear the Maverick. All right, moving on now to a featured bout in the UFC's bantamweight division, Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Thomas Almeida. All right, that brings us to the co-main event between two of the welterweight division's top 10. the former undisputed champion, and the chosen one, Tyron Woodley, versus Vicente, the silent assassin, Lucay. And our main event at UFC 260 for the sport's ultimate prize, the UFC Heavyweight Championship, the incumbent Stipe Miocic in defense against the #1 contender, Francis Ngannou. The heavyweight championship rematch is official, folks. One more sleep. We will see you tomorrow night on pay-per-view.
Belt shot. Huh? You get the belt shot?
We got the case forward from everybody else
Except for the main event.
Johnny, 9 out of 10 today. 9 out of 10.
Three people. Should start with Misha Tate right now. Should start with Misha to say
Q&A. Talent Q&A.
You somebody tell me to get along?
Go ahead, Phil. You got this? Lock it down.
You guys really did last time.
Good, Kenny? Kenny, you good? Cool. Misha, welcome back. Obviously, it's great to see you as an active UFC fighter again. We were all surprised by the news. Obviously, it was made official very recently. But in your mind, when was the decision made that yes, this is the step we're taking?
After I had my son, so that was in June. I just kind of knew, like, the pandemic had hit and kind of really brought everything home, right? Put everything in perspective, like what's really important. And time is very valuable. And I'm like, look, you know what? I just feel it in my heart. I want to do this. I'm in a great position in my life. I don't have to do this. Dana didn't call me. Like, nobody's twisting my arm. Like, this is 100% because I'm in the best place I've ever been and because I want to do this.
It was interesting at the press conference yesterday. We were talking about like retired fighters and this and that, and he said, sometimes fighters come back for money, and that's a bad reason to come back. What is the motivation? I mean, I'm sure the money's not bad. A big paycheck won't hurt, but what is the motivation?
No, I literally had to hunt Dana down. He blew off like my first 5 Instagram messages. It was actually starting to really piss me off. I was like, Dana, I swear I will come. Like, do I not have the right number? I was like, what is going on? I was like, tell him I want to come back. But I think he was worried, I guess, probably that maybe I was in a desperate place and I needed to come back, so I think he wanted to know it was for the right reasons. And like finally I was like sat down with him and had that face-to-face conversation, and he's like, so what are you doing here? What? I was like, I want to fucking fight. I was like, that's what I'm doing here. And he's like, all right, right? It's kind of still like, you're not hurting for money. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm actually making really good money right now, with one championship. And this is because I want to do that. I want to come back and fight. I'm not sure if I answered your question. What was it? Yeah? Okay.
You did, yeah. And I mean, was it a decision you had toyed with? Because I know I saw your interview the other day on your show where you were talking about, hey, so much in life had changed that this felt like the right spot. But in the interim in between, had this been a decision you wrestled with at all, or did it just become now's the time?
I just didn't give it any, I didn't feed into it, if I ever thought about it. Obviously, it was always the question I was being asked. So it was kind of like, if I know, I'll know. Like, there's never, I don't need to, wonder. I'm just that way. It's like people say that when you fall in love, like, you know. Like, it's the same thing with the sport for me. It's like I've fallen in love with the sport again, and I just know. Like, now is the time. I think the sport's been calling me for a while, and I just feel like now's the time that I want to come back and time to answer the call.
And what are the total aspirations? I mean, I think you said you've got 6 fights left on your current deal. I mean, do you want to fight out those 6 fights? And I mean, are you thinking I can re-enter this sport at a championship level? I know your first fight, will be kind of an entry point, but do you feel like I'm making a title run out of this?
Yes, absolutely. I'm not here for anything less than gold. I want to be the best in the world. I'd love to say that I'm doing this because I'm a mom and I want to inspire my kids and all this, and that's like cherry on the top. I do. I want my daughter to see, what strong women can do. I want my son to also see and appreciate strong women. I want to be that role model for my kids, but it's not the reason I'm doing this. I'm doing this for me. I took 4.5 years off. I've got to sit back. I've watched this sport evolve. I've watched these amazing women, Joanna and Wei Li, like one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life. They've done such spectacular work, but I want to come back and add some spice to this division, and I want to be the greatest again. I want to be the best.
That's amazing. Last thing for me, I mean, how long do you see this run lasting? I mean, you mentioned the 6 fights, title aspirations. I mean, if you come back and win the title, would that be enough to say, hey, I did it, I got back there? Or do you feel like, no, hell no, I want to defend this thing and, run off 10, 15 fights? I mean, where do you see this whole thing going?
It's definitely difficult to know for sure what the future holds. And I know I've got to start on July 17th with Marion Renaud. That's what I know. I was like, that's where I have to have my goal set. Marion is somebody who can spoil your night if you take her lightly. And I can't do that. I cannot be, I can't pull a Sarah McMahon. And I've got to come out there, and I think I've got to have a very impressive performance. So I'm excited to do that. And when you talk about short-term, mid-term, long-term, I'm always somebody who, I'm certainly, I'm looking a little bit into the future. I definitely want to give this 2 years. I want to become a champion. And I'm just going to kind of see where it goes from there. Again, I'm fly by the seat of my pants. I make decisions on the fly. I listen to my heart. I'm a passionate individual, and so I know it's time to come back. I know I've got a lot of gas left in the gas tank, and I think the reason that I left the sport was not because I couldn't do it anymore. It's not because I was physically incapable. It was because I just had so many other things in my personal life. I was struggling with depression. I was having a really difficult time. And I just didn't have it to give anymore there. I didn't have the extra. And I knew that, and I was like, that's a very ugly place to be. So I needed to step away. I needed to cut ties with everything and start fresh. And that's where I'm at. I'm back at Extreme Couture. I'm training. And my teammates are giving me wonderful feedback. They're like, shit, it's like you never left, It's like, this is pretty cool. So I feel good, and I have a much better support system going in this time around than I did, my entire career. And, look, I think, what I was able to do under those circumstances just really leads me to really believe in myself, what I can do under the right circumstances.
Hi, Misha. How do you think your division has changed since you last fought?
How has it changed? Well, there's more ladies, but obviously Amanda has done a pretty damn good job of clearing out most contenders. So I think a lot of times people are like, oh, who next? The obvious answer is Juliana Pena, right? She's got to be next. She has a similar fight style to myself in that, we make fights messy. We like to get them to the ground at some point. And I think somebody who can put Amanda on her back is the most compelling matchup, because we see what happens when women just try to strike with her, right? It doesn't really work out very well. But as far as the division otherwise, it's, I think, in a bit of a, it's a little bit of a lull. It's a little bit of ebb and flow, right? So I'm just excited to come back and add some spice back into the division. There's just definitely still a lot of talented ladies, and I'm sure I'll be working my way through those, starting July 17th.
Upon reflection, do you wish you'd taken Dana's advice to not get your nose fixed before the fighting career ended?
No, I've appreciated my nose being fixed for the past four years, so that's been wonderful. So if I break it again, I'll fix it again. It's simple as that. I plan on it. I'm pretty sure I will break it because that's what you do in fighting, right? You get hit in the face, and that's okay with me. I've never shied away from it before. I'm not going to shy away from it now.
Hey, Misha, how are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
Do you actually still work for One? What is that situation?
Yeah, so One has been so supportive in this decision. I really appreciate that because, I suppose if they really wanted to, right, could put the kibosh on it, they probably could. But no, Chatri has been all about me. He's an athlete first too. So basically, I put in my 30 days. I have 30 more days with One Championship, and I talked to the UFC too, and I said, look, this is the right thing to do. I wasn't expecting the news to break as fast as it did either. I literally talked to Mick Tuesday night, and Wednesday it was out, and I had no idea it was going to come out, that quick. So I was like, look, the right thing to do is to put the 30 days in. So I'm doing that. I'm going to finish out those 30 days with One, and then I will be released of all obligations and entirely, ready to go with the UFC.
When you look at the division, obviously Amanda is still the champion. There's been some change. Are there some names, some faces that kind of intrigue you for matchups?
Yeah, I think Yana's been doing really good work. She's improved in so many areas. She's got a kind of funky striking style. She throws his axe kicks, and she's improved tremendously on the ground too. Now I see her taking people down and dominating top position. She's top 5 ranked. Is actually a name that I was really I was interested in, but I think she already has a matchup, is what I was told. We did try to make that work, but it's Marion, so that's who I've got to focus on now.
Have you entered back into the USADA pool yet?
Yes.
You have?
Yes, I have. Yep.
And there's a rule that the UFC can waive. It says that a returning athlete has to be in the pool for 6 months before fighting again.
Right.
What's the situation there? Are they going to waive that for you?
They are. So we're 4 months out from the fight. I'm sure I'll get plenty of tests. I'm sure I'll have lots of 6 a.m., which is not as inconvenient these days because my kids wake up at 6 anyway, so I'll already be awake. I remember I used to hate that because I used to sleep so late, and all these things. Life is different these days, you guys. But I think it's obvious that I didn't retire so I could go and take drugs and try to come back, right? That's why they don't want you to do that. I had kids, I was serious about the retirement, and I'll take as many tests as they want. They could test me every single day, starting yesterday, and I'm completely confident, that there's not going to be any problems. So we're back at it, and here we go.
Last question, very serious question. Who do you have between Ben Askren against Jake Paul? Who wins?
Oh, yeah, very serious question. Look, I've been saying all along, I think Ben Askren. I know that's probably the unpopular pick, but myself being a wrestler, look, we have different objectives when we go into MMA fights against people who we know are going to try to just strike. But when you just strike inside the gym, the striking is a lot better than what you're probably we will have ever got to see from Ben Askren in a fight, because he's always going to probably be looking to take the guy down, being such a phenomenal wrestler. I think the core strength a lot of times that wrestlers have, and he's going to be weird, right? He's going to be an actual athlete, a real serious guy who's, been in there and trained with a lot of the very best strikers. If you think he's not used to having really, really high-level boxers and strikers throwing punches at him, think again. This man has made a career out of not getting hit, and I think he'll do that. And I bet you he's going to go into that, and he's probably going to clinch and wear on Jake at first. If I was a wrestler coming into that fight, right, I'd be looking at doing a little bit of the dirty boxing, and even just when you can pull on him for a little bit before the ref, right, separates you, right, he's going to pull him, then he's probably going to look to open up and just throw heavy, heavy punches. And I don't know, I think Ben can get it done.
Thanks, Misha.
Yeah.
Misha over here. I was curious, we've seen a little bit sometimes when fighters are involved with different promotions. Did One ever try to get into a free agency battle to see if they could get you to fight for them? Did they ever talk with UFC about that?
No, of course, I think One Championship would have liked the opportunity, but, I was very clear from the beginning that I retired, in my contract, and that I still had 6 fights left, and that's kind of where we stood. questioned maybe a grappling match at one point, and that never came to fruition. You know, the UFC was like, no, you know, if you're gonna grapple, it'll be for, you know, be on Fight Pass, and fair enough. You know, the UFC has definitely been such an instrumental part in making me who I am, and the reason that anybody cares about watching me. So I get it, and that's okay. You know, and there was never any kind of battle, no animosity, no bad blood. It was just, it is what it is.
People talk about the bantamweight division, and I'm sure you've heard this a lot. It's just not the same as when you and Ronda and everybody were kind of really running the show. I want to ask, do you feel like it's just been, for whatever reason, the talent seems to go to the other weight classes, or is it a little bit, you know, Amanda Nunes world, and that's her creating another star at 135?
I think when you have a long reigning champion in any division, it starts to get a little bit dry. And that's not just the women's 135. I mean, that's been historically, you know, the thing with any long reigning champion. When you just start taking out every contender, people are kind of like, well, what now? You know, we go to the number 9th ranked person, you know, to fight or something. It's like, so I don't think that's just like a problem the women's division has. I think that's a problem that any division with a very dominant champion will run into. But no, I mean, if Juliana Pena, she should be next. If she doesn't get it done, then I will. At some point, you know, got to stay focused, you know, but of course, that's the end goal.
Thank you, Misha.
Okay, thank you guys.
Have we heard anything about the other dude? Fabio?
Yeah, no. I think she was very annoyed. That's usually the reaction. That's our side. Someone gets a funny reaction. Or you get an offered one and she's like, I'm not fucking that.
We appreciate you rolling the dice.
For all of our entertainment, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because no matter the outcome for us, it's entertainment. Yep. Maybe she didn't even hear that yesterday. And she's just like, who's this fucking asshole? This like Australian guy asking about my
training experience.
Where did they come from? Like, no idea. Was that yours? You ever roll with Mox? John Moxley?
2 hours. We're good. I'm not either.
Hello? Get a good look at him.
Aljo, have you finally taken everybody's advice and gotten off the internet, stopped reading comments, and stopped,
I was kind of confused because everybody was saying all these stuff that never happened. Like, oh, you're posting pictures with the belt. I'm like, I never even posted anything. My friends posted stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry that my friends were excited and they came to my house, 30 plus people in my house, and asked me to enjoy the moment. You worked to get to this position. It's not your fault that this guy did something illegal. You did nothing wrong. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything wrong. I went in there, I fought an honest fight, and it wasn't going well in that fourth round, but we still had another round to go. And even before the failed takedown attempt, I landed 2 head kicks back to back. So it was like, it's a fist fight. Anything can happen. So, I don't really care what people say anymore. They want to say I'm acting. I'm like, let me put your head down here, you not look, and just blast you. And you tell me how you feel when you get up. Tell me if you can act that. Please. Please.
Yeah. Do you remember when you reached that moment? Because it's been fun to see you kind of evolve in this, and now you're just kind of embracing it and having fun with it. Do you remember the moment you reached that? Like, did somebody give you some advice, or did you recognize something in yourself to get to that point?
So I had a bunch of people reach out to me, but like I said, the first 2 days, I was like trying to explain myself, and then it got to the point where I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. So I was like, why am I explaining to these people if they're going to say that I'm an actor, they're going to say that it wasn't that hard of a knee, they're going to say that I was faking it. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to take it and run with it at this point. I've always been one to troll back when people hate on me, so it's all fun and games. And sorry about my outfit. I had to change my shirt. I know navy blue and black doesn't really match, but yeah, but you got to just have fun with it, man. This sport, you're either going to love the person, you're going to hate them, or you're just not going to care. And I'm happy that it's one or the other at this point. So, my true fans know what happened, and the ones with an actual brain, a voice of reason, they can understand what happened, the severity of it. It's not like a knee that was partially blocked and then saying you could have continued. They were comparing me to Anthony Smith, which made no sense. His knee that landed was nowhere near a comparison in terms of the impact. I wasn't even looking. So, whatever, man. It is what it is. I'm going to have fun. Send me the memes, and I'm going to post them for you. I'll laugh with you. At the end of the day, I'm happy. I put myself in the position to fight for a world title. It's eluded me for super long, and unfortunately, the fight went the way it went, and we're going to do it again. And if that's the best Peter Yan versus a watered-down Sterling, in terms of people don't even know, I had my morning shakeout. I ate at 10:30. I ate the food that the UFC PI gave me for breakfast. Very small portion of food. And that's all I had until the fight. Normally I do the same thing, but I eat a bigger breakfast, and I fight a lot earlier. So I felt very depleted going into the fight. In the back room, I don't want to make any excuses, but my performance was hindered. And I feel like if I perform like that, still ate his biggest shots, best shots, I like my chances in the rematch. And I'm super excited. No one can tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing.
I know you're under concussion protocol. Can you give us a health update or kind of where you stand? Are you still waiting to be cleared before you can even talk about when the rematch is going to happen?
Well, they suspended me here in Nevada for 45 days, no contact, so I can't do anything before that anyway. But I am having some issues with my neck again, so we're just trying to figure out what's the next step's going to be, if we're going to try to push through one more training camp. Remember, this guy pulled out the first fight in December, and I was planning on trying to just get the surgery right after that, and then we had this fight. And I'm starting to deal with a little bit of muscle weakness in my left arm and a little bit of atrophy in my left tricep. And it sucks, I've been dealing with this for about 10 years now at this point, and thank God the UFC PI's teams have been able to keep me together as long as they have to have me be able to compete as much as I have. So the next nothing to play with, and to get slammed on my head in that fight, slipping all over the octagon, I'm like, and then to get kneed in the head, I'm sure that didn't help my case with my herniations in my neck, but we'll see what happens. I would like to do it sooner than later, but at the same time, I want to make sure I go through all the steps that I need to go through, because this is only a short moment of time in my life, and when I get older, that's what really matters. When it's all said and done, man, this is all going to be over. No more. The cheering is going to stop, and I want to make sure what matters after that is my health and my kids and my family, and I want to be able to be actively involved in that, and it starts with this.
Yeah. So is it too early? I mean, do you think you could fight? It could happen this year? Is it too early to even say right now?
I think for sure this year.
Yeah.
I 100% think for sure this year. I'm not one of those guys who's looking to just fight once every other year or something like that. I want to be active, and unfortunately, I didn't tell this guy to knee me in the goddamn head, so his excuse was so stupid. He says he was focusing on my hands. So if we're going through the rule book in the back room when the refs are coming and demonstrating what a foul is, they show you what's illegal, what you can and cannot do. So you focus on my hands, so you didn't look at my knees. So you're telling me you're that much of a moron. So I look at it like it was an intentional foul. He was frustrated that he couldn't get me out of there. I was eating his biggest shots, and he was probably thinking like, what else am I supposed to do with this guy? You want to say he ragdolled me because he tripped me a couple times on a slippery octagon? I don't give a shit. I really don't. Because the octagon was super slippery. I couldn't get none of my takedowns. And those are facts. You can see all the other fighters that are slipping and sliding all over the cage. Kevin Holland throwing a head kick and then busting his ass. It's like, I don't know what they're doing in terms of like the COVID stuff spraying on the canvas, but this is something I think they got to look into because it's affecting the fights. You got guys who pressure, put all their weight in, and it's like you're just sliding, so you can never get your footing underneath you to actually get your takedowns. So I forgot where I even started with this, but yeah, looking at the hands, looking at the knees, you had multiple options. I was holding his hands. I'm not even looking at him. I'm like, I got to get up safely and not get kneed in the head. All he has to do is step back and look. He's sitting here, as I rewatched the video, he's sitting above me, trying to stuff my head. I'm holding his hands, and he just steps back and unloads a knee. I'm like, at what point did you don't need your corner to tell you that's illegal. You don't need anybody to tell you that. You know the rules. You're the champion of the world. But to do that at such a high level and then try to blame your coaches or you try to blame something like that, it's like, it's on you. And John McCarthy, he could suck it. I don't even understand how the hell that guy was ever one of the best refs and the golden standard. He's giving Mark Smith a little flack about his first title fight, refereeing. Dude, the rules are the same. If you commit a foul intentionally, you should be disqualified. So when else are we going to disqualify guys? Do I need to bite an ear? Do I need to headbutt somebody? And then you wag your finger at me? Don't you do that. That was illegal. That's wrong. I'm going to take a point. We're going to go to the judges. No, that's silly. This is not a street fight. I came in here for an organized fight. We know the rules. We're playing by the same rules, so enforce the rules. No more of these eye pokes, these low blows. Oh, it's a warning. That's a hard warning. I'm sorry, that's another warning. Let's bring the doctor in. That's a hard warning. Hey, I'm going to talk to you one more time. Please don't do that. Yo, enforce the rules. Everyone knows what we signed up for. And people want to say, oh, I'm complaining. Dude, you try getting in the octagon, putting in all this hard work, and then getting poked in the eye like a Bilal Muhammad and losing an opportunity of a lifetime, getting kneed in the head, not having a chance to finish out the fight to see what the story would have been. Like, we would never know. But I'm just thankful that I get an opportunity to do it again, and I can shut up all the Russian and other trolls that are talking shit. So I'm laughing to the bank. So, I'm happy.
Last thing for me, Aljo. I mean, I know on the night of you didn't want the belt, but it is your belt. It's a UFC title. What have you done with it since? Did you give it a place of honor yet, or what?
It showed up at my house. I left it in the octagon. That's all I remember. So I remember talking to Joe Rogan, but I don't remember talking to Joe Rogan. I know I asked to talk to him, but I don't know what the hell I said. People are saying you're faking a concussion. I'm like, how do you fake a concussion? Okay, but I left the belt. I go home. Everyone's happy. My head's pounding, and they say I got drunk. I didn't even drink. I had a sip of champagne because everyone was there, gave a toast. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate everyone spending their hard-earned money to come see me fight and chase a dream and try to bring it to reality. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. It's not the way I want to win, but we'll do it again. And sip, put it down. Oh, you got shit face. No, actually, I didn't. I actually threw up later that night. Yeah, I haven't really done much with the belt. I did take a couple pictures because people were like, they were asking for it. The trolls were asking for it, so I gave them what they wanted. I'm going to feed the trolls. You want to troll me? I'll feed you. So I'm one of those guys. I don't shy away from social media. I don't let it beat me up. I'm not going to have it take away my fun. Social media is supposed to be fun for everybody. So, I'm not going to let a couple people I don't know who don't train probably have Cheetos on their fingertips and pushing a couple buttons and talking shit to me.
Hey, Aljo, what's up, man? How are you?
Good.
You mentioned that the day of the fight you only had that small PI meal. Any reason why you didn't eat more after that?
I usually can't stomach a lot of food, but I normally eat a big breakfast. And I just had the breakfast that the UFC gave me. Normally I order like a big thing, or we have a buffet at all the other venues that we fight at. So it was unfortunate, man. It's I think the fact that we're fighting that much longer, like later in the night, fighting at 8:30 where I normally fight at like 5 or 6 sometimes, that with a smaller portion of food, I felt depleted. Like my arms in the back room when I woke up, well, I didn't even nap, but when I got up around 3 out of bed, just lounging around, I was like, dude, I just don't feel good. I feel like I already fought. I felt like similar to how I felt going into the Caraway fight after doing 3 workouts the day of the fight. You know, so lesson learned, stupid. I know all these guys are like, Aljo, you got to eat. This happened to me in sparring one time before this fight, and I was like, okay, I just got to eat a couple of hours before something, even if it's something small. And now I know for the future, man. People are talking about the output. Dude, if you think that was insane, come watch my sparring sessions, bro. Come watch my sparring sessions. You'll see me do that with 3 different guys, 5 rounds, no problem. So I'm excited for the future, man. I think this next one is going to be the best one, and I just can't wait to shut everybody up, and then I'm going to be the biggest troll and just nonstop memes and just shut it, suck it, suck it, suck it. I don't care, you know, or it could go really bad and I could lose. But we're hoping that doesn't happen.
That's actually kind of what I wanted to ask you. It seems like, I mean, there was bad blood going into the first fight, and now it seems like, you know, even more intense going into this possible rematch in the future.
Yes and no. I don't have any animosity to the guy. I've said this before. He's a family man. You know, he's got kids, and I appreciate that. Anyone who's there for the family. I don't know what type of dad or husband he is, but anyone that's a family man, I can respect that. You know, so I just don't know what the logic of reasoning was of him fighting like that, and what went through his head. Like, the excuse he gave made no sense, and then him pulling out the first fight made no sense. There was no logical explanation, which I think was he just didn't feel like he was adequately enough trained to fight me the first time. And whatever. I respect his honesty and having the balls to pull out of a fight because he felt like he wasn't ready. But, you know, I've never been able to do that. You fight, just like when I knew I didn't feel good, I'm not going to say, hey, man, guys, I don't feel good. I can't make this walk. The ships have sailed. You got to make the walk and go no matter how you feel. Michael Jordan in the flu game, one of his, you know, memorable games because he had the flu and he played lights out. It's like one of those things where you just have to show up and perform. It's your job. So I have no bad blood. I just really just want to smash this guy. That's really it. I want to smash this guy because I don't think I don't know. He's tough. I will say his shell defense was better than I expected, but even with that, I just felt like, I was like, dude, if I feel good on my best days, dude, this guy doesn't even touch me. He doesn't even touch me, man. I haven't lost a round since I lost to Marlon Moraes. I haven't lost a round until this fight. You're telling me this guy? Dude, that was a shell of myself. So, I mean, I can't say that enough, but like I said, people only care about what you do out there, so I just got to make sure what I do out there is the best one.
Was there anything post-fight that, you know, looking back now, you kind of wished happened differently or that you didn't do, or any regrets about post-fight?
No. When I got kneed in the head, I thought a couple of things just racing through my mind. One, I got cracked, so I don't even know where I am at the moment. And all I'm thinking, I start pretty much tearing up because I'm like, dude, my one shot to fight for the belt, this is how it's going to end. The 4th round wasn't going my way. I had a couple key moments, but nothing too great. He was coming on strong in that 4th round. And in my head, I'm thinking, there's so many good guys in this division. Dana's not going to give me a rematch. That's honestly how I felt. I was like, Dana's not going to give me a rematch. He's going to say, well, we know how the fight was going to end up. It wasn't looking good for Sterling. We're going to move on to the next one. And it's his organization. He can do whatever the hell he wants. So I felt heartbroken about that. Not the fact that anything else. I was upset about the knee, but I'm like, I'd rather take my lickings like a man and get my ass kicked for another round if that was what was going to happen. But I was going to keep going. I was the one pushing the pace. Every time I get hit, I'm the one still going forward. I'm taking the failed shots or getting tripped. I get right back up. I'm the one that's going forward. So I think I displayed a lot of heart in that fight and what my character is about. And I don't think there's anything that I would have done differently. You know, I was disgusted in the way I won. But at the end of the day, rules are the rules. You know, there's 4 ways to win: knockout, submission, decision, or disqualification. Unfortunately, I won by disqualification.
Last thing for me, need a prediction from you. Jake Paul, Ben Askren, who wins?
I know Dana bet a lot of money on Ben Askren, but I mean, that spinning back fist was something beautiful in that fight with Damian Maia. So I don't know. I think size plays an advantage. You know, he might not be the most talented guy in terms of his credentials, but I think Jake Paul should win. I know Askren's tough, but he just got his hip replaced. I don't know. Askren, I love you, but obviously he's not a boxer. He's a grappler, you know. So I think it's Jake Paul's fight to lose.
Thanks, man.
Hey, Aljo over here. I haven't seen you address this, but I was curious, how did Henry Cejudo end up at your post-fight party?
Well, he wasn't at my post-fight party. We were going to meet some friends, my loan officer, at Encore, and we went the wrong way. The lady took us the wrong way, and as we're walking, I go, wait, hold up. Well. Look who we have here. If it isn't the shit talker himself, and that was Henry Cejudo, and it just somehow he managed to be right there, and you know, he gave me his 2 cents, and I gave him what I felt happened, and at the end of the day, like I said, people only can judge you by what they see, so they don't know how you're feeling internally. That's why this sport is so interesting, because so many things could go wrong, and no one ever knows the backstory going into each fight. Every fight's different, man. Everyone's got their own problems, their own battles, and how they feel. You talk to your coach, how you feeling? You ready to go? Everyone says yes, but you might be dealing with something that no one wants to talk about because they feel like it might make them look weak or whatever. But I saw Henry, and it's fascinating because any other sport, when you do something intentionally illegal, you get suspended, you get fined, you get ejected from the game. This guy's getting rewarded with a rematch, which I get it's a big fight, but it's like, so we could just break the rules and nothing's ever going to happen to us. You know, so I could just jump the octagon, nothing's ever going to happen to me. I could just go fight another corner, or I could push him after the bell, nothing's ever going to happen. So it's like, I feel like when you have rules and for a reason, you kind of got to somewhat enforce them. Otherwise, let's just run amok. I'm okay with that. Let me run amok then. Let me start smacking guys and start doing the crazy shit that I want to do instead of being professional about the way I handle my business, you know. So that was the whole thing with Cejudo, and that's how I feel about Peter Yan. I feel like his ass should have been suspended or something. Pay me some money for an illegal foul that might take years off of my career.
With Usman and Masvidal being moved up, I mean, now that Ultimate Fighter coaching is wide open, this is a big fight. You're not afraid to speak your mind. How would you feel about them saying, hey, Aljo, you want to coach tough?
I would love it, because I think it would give the fans an inside look on how I coach and my approach to fighting. And I think it's very different. And I think I've only gotten to this position in my career because of how much of a student of the game I am. You know, going back to the drawing board, whether I win or lose, and taking the time to really do my homework and get better and improve in every position. You know, people could say I'm 1 for 17 in my takedown attempts, but like I said, those takedowns in that cage was a very different thing. I've never once in my life ever fell over on my own 2 feet because a guy pushed my head down. I think that says something, you know. So, you know, obviously Yan had to deal with that too, but he's a stationary fighter. It doesn't affect him as much, especially when he's not wrestling, you know. So you get a guy who could just kick your leg and you fall out and you look like Betty Spaghetti just falling all over the place. It just doesn't look good aesthetically. But those don't hurt. It's, you know, get up and just push back forward. But I would love the tough opportunity. I would love it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Undefeated, undisputed, #1. Let them know, Russia, give me your chicken.
Love it.
This is a weird sport.
What's up, guys? Let's knock it out.
DC, you've been calling big fights, you've been a part of big fights, obviously, but heavyweight title, I mean, does that do something special for you? Does it take it to a different level?
You know, honestly, man, it's exciting to watch these guys fight and also to know everything that's at stake for these two. You know, for Stipe, it's about further distancing himself in the conversation as the greatest heavyweight of all time. And for Francis Ngannou, it's a matter of him really exploding and being something that we may not have seen in the heavyweight division since Brock Lesnar. Because a guy that knocks people out like Francis does he garners more attention than your normal heavyweight champion. So a lot at stake tomorrow night.
Yeah, you have so much experience with Stipe, obviously. I'm just curious. I mean, how much of an ability did you see in him to change fight to fight?
I mean, he was better. Fight 1 and 2, he seemed pretty similar. But fight 3, he was a better fighter. He was faster. Him and his coaches came up with a great game plan. He created more angles. It seemed like he had built a fight game plan specific to the small octagon, right? He was gone in a lot of places where he was at before. He was more distant. He knew how to find areas to be safe. And he's going to have to do all those things tomorrow night against Francis Ngannou.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you is, like, how much different do you think he needs to be, right? Because, you know, he dominated the first fight, right? But
Yes.
all the talk is, yeah, but it's a different Francis now, you know what I mean? It's going to
But
be.
that's the thing. How do we know? Right? Like, how do we know that it's a different Francis? You want to take him at his word. Francis is a great guy. He's a great fighter. And he has pulled himself up by his bootstraps out of Africa to become one of the best heavyweights in the world. But if he doesn't win the belt tomorrow, then that's what he's going to be. Just one of the best heavyweights in the world. It's a guy that wasn't the champion. So he's to be commended for what he's done. But tomorrow he's going to have to show a different level to his game to beat Stipe Miocic. Stipe is that good. He's got to be more careful early than he was in fight 1. In fight 1, he was 35 years old, maybe 34. Him and I beat each other up for 3 fights. So he's got to be careful. And the octagon's small. He finds himself trapped against a big guy like Francis early, it could be lights out.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask last thing for me. Like, as you said, we don't know. Everybody says it's a new Francis. But at the end of the day, does this really boil down to just Francis landing the big shot? And is it really just that first round is where we're going to know exactly what's going on?
You know what's crazy is that when we did a thing this morning on the weigh-in show, it was like over and under, how long does the fight go? 1.5 rounds. And I'm like, well, you can't really answer that question without essentially picking the fight. Because if you say it's going to be shorter than a round and a half, you think Francis is winning. If it goes longer, then Stipe has such a massive advantage. I think that's what it boils down to. The crazy thing about Francis and the way that him and Stipe match up, it almost feels like it's knockout or bust. Because Miocic has so much championship level experience against the highest level of competition.
Back here. Stipe came in pretty lighter than usual. I think it was like 234, something like that. Francis 263, I think, about 30-pound difference. What do you make about this massive weight difference in this title fight?
They were big. There was a big difference before. I mean, Stipe was 245 maybe the first time they fought, and Francis was like 265, but cutting to 265. Francis doesn't look like he's cutting anymore. He looks much more lean. He looks much healthier and much more fresh and vibrant as he goes into the rematch. You know, Miocic is used to fighting big guys. You know, so I don't think it's going to play that much of a difference. I just wonder if he's going to be able to use his size to wear on Francis as he did before, being that he's 10 pounds lighter than he was in the first fight.
DC, you just mentioned the smaller cage. In your mind, does that benefit Stipe, who wants the grappling, or Francis, who can just explode and close the distance?
I honestly believe that it plays to Francis's benefit a little bit early. Again, it's a tale of 2 fights, man. It's 6 minutes maybe where the danger is like extremely high. The danger is as daunting as anything you can ever think of. It's like being locked in a cage with a tiger, right? How long can you survive? That's what you have to do when you fight Francis. How long can Stipe survive to start imposing himself into the fight? Early, this small octagon plays to Francis. Because when he starts to go downhill, terrifying sight. You saw it against Jairzinho Rozenstruik, right? It started off a bit slow. Francis made up his mind that he was just going to go. And when he did, the fight was over 5 seconds later, right? So there's just not much room to run as a smaller guy.
It's funny you mentioned that fight because this camp we've heard from Francis' team that he's learning to be slower, learning to take his time. But then in his last fight, he just decided to end it.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a risk that when he's in the cage, sees Stipe in front of him, he just forgets to take it slow and just does the exact same thing?
Well, he has an atom bomb, right? He has the power. So what would make Francis question whether or not he can knock out a man? not being able to knock Stipe out the first time. But when you go back and you beat Cain Velasquez, and you beat Jairzinho, and you beat JDS, and you beat, there was one more in there that he beat very fast.
Blades.
Yeah, you beat Curtis Blades again. Why would you not think that you can knock out Stipe? So reality is, fight one for Francis is the anomaly. The norm is what happens to most people. Let's see if he can find a way to stay within himself. I don't think he can. And honestly, I don't think he should. I think he should try to blitz Stipe and really try to take him out of there. Because I don't know if he wins a fight over 25 minutes.
It might not be the same as winning in the cage, but do you feel a little bit better now that you beat Stipe on EA UFC 4?
We're 2-2 now, baby. We're 2. I'm back in the game. I told him, I said, I can't beat you in the real world. You beat me in the last couple in the real world. I'm old. I'm beat up. I can't fight like I used to. But on this video game, for a second there, it looked scary. The dude was beating me. I was like, what is going on? Like, I hadn't played the game in a while, But my guy punched. Hey, when you're the ratings adjuster, I've got some hidden characteristics in that game that I may not possess in the real world, so I was able to get a knockout.
Before your second and third fight with Stipe, it was pretty clear that the two of you were getting on each other's nerves, and there was a bit of a rivalry there. But it seems now, seeing you on the embedded and seeing that seems to have gone away, right? It's not the same as with John, where it's going to be there forever. With Stipe, I feel like you're back to where you were before the first fight.
Stipe beat me. And Stipe didn't get suspended after. Stipe beat me, and Stipe didn't have any issues with his testing or anything. So why would I have issues with a guy that beat me? You guys everybody wonders why can't you be friends with Jones? To not play fair, it leaves a lasting impression on a person's career. If he had just beaten me, I've lost before, lost 1,000 times in wrestling. I have no issues with anybody, but you got to play fair. So when you don't play fair, it does such damage to someone's career. That's why. So for all the other stuff, right, all the back and forth from the before, had we done that and he had played fair, we still would have been okay. Stipe and I were very mad at each other. We were irritated because fights were taking longer to get booked. It was bad. We both had issues with being like we deserved to get those extra fights, right? Didn't matter though. At the end of the day, Stipe is a good guy. He's a great father and husband. He's a great heavyweight champion. I have nothing but respect for the guy, and all that stuff is in the past. He just won the fights.
Last one from me. Do you think it benefits, which fighter does it benefit more? The fact that Francis hasn't been able to compete in a while, or the fact that Stipe's coming off a 5-round back and forth with yourself?
Well, I think anytime you get to spend time in the cage at a high level, right? We fought a great fight. It benefits you. But I think Francis is refreshed. He's been nipping at the bud. And honestly, who is he going to fight? He's knocked everybody out. Like, he's pretty much, it's crazy when you get a number one contender that's essentially cleared out the division himself, right? It's not like he has not beaten just about everybody. So it's a big fight. Both guys have advantages, but I think the experiences of those title fights can't help Miocic.
Thanks, man.
Daniel, how are you?
How are you, Mark?
I know that it seems like everything with you and Stipe is kind of water under the bridge now, but I'm just curious, have you guys actually sat down and talked about everything and kind of hashed it all out?
No, there's no need for that, right? We're professionals. I texted with Stipe a few weeks ago, but that was it. Just a few things to discuss. But listen, Stipe and I will never be best friends, but we're cordial and we're professionals. And if we got to, hey, listen. I'm on the bad end of the rivalry. So now getting to play a video game and hoping to even it up is all to my benefit. So I just try to even it. I'm quitting. I'll never play him again because he's so competitive. He'll probably go practice and try to challenge me again.
What did you text him about?
I should have quit when I was ahead. And I should have quit after the first fight.
What was the text exchange about?
Come on.
What?
I'm not going to tell you that. That's why basketball players pick their jersey up over their face whenever they're talking to each other, so that you guys don't get a hold of what they're talking about. No. Or me, actually. I'm one of you guys now. So we don't get a hold of what they're talking about.
So come on, have a little camaraderie. Why don't you let us in on...
See, at least I'm still part of the fraternity, right? I start doing that, then I might as well sit there.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with it. I'm just saying.
Last thing for me. More importantly, I need a prediction from you. Jake Paul
Oh.
versus Ben Askren. Who you got?
Man, let me tell you something. I'm scared for Ben, man. I'm scared. Ben, Ben said the other day, what are all these people doing at my fight, right? All these celebrities. Like, no, Ben, you're the odd guy out, right? Like, you're the old dude with the hip replacement. These are all the cool people from Hollywood. You know, we're playing to these people. Man, I don't know. Ben's my guy. I love Ben. In a free fight, he beats Jake Paul every day. I don't know if he beats... Ben lost to Damian Maia in boxing. We've never seen Damian outbox anybody in his whole entire career. And we've watched him fight for 12 years, or 15 years maybe. So, very worrisome for me. But I'm rooting Ben Askren, because Ben Askren, we may not have chose him, but Ben Askren's our representative into that world. So, go kick his ass, Ben.
Thanks, Daniel.
No problem.
If you could have picked a representative, who would you pick?
To go box?
For box Jake Paul.
Box Jake Paul?
Francis.
Oh, there's a number of guys. I'd send Francis out there. Francis, go knock this kid's head off. Like, please. Just go and punch him as hard as you can. No, I mean, what's he weigh? Like 200 pounds, 190 pounds, this kid? So, 185, I'd send, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even send a big guy. We could send welterweights to beat Jake Paul probably. But, you know, we have a number of guys. Adesanya would beat him. Maybe Paulo Costa would beat him. You know, those guys can beat him. Guys that can box and strike could beat Jake Paul. It's just that Ben doesn't really box. Ben almost became a world champion. Think about that. After he beat Robbie Lawler, Ben Askren was on the cusp of a title fight and really can just wrestle. So, hats off to Ben Askren.
Did you ever hear from Paulo Costa, by the way?
No, I didn't. Thank God. I'm glad Paulo Costa I'm glad I haven't been around him, because for a while he was like my main target to make fun of. But when you say stuff like he says, that's what happens.
Hey, DC, congratulations on 1 year of your show
Yes,
over
thank
at
you.
ESPN.
Thank you.
You've obviously been at the desk for a long time now, but has there been anything that you've learned about talking about the guys in that particular medium that you didn't before?
Yeah, that fighters are very sensitive. Fighters are sensitive, like very sensitive. And, you know, but it's not just fighters. When Stephen A. talks about Kevin Durant is mad. When he it's just athletes. Athletes don't like to hear the negative. But the reality is there's always going to be negative. You will never please everyone. And we, the talking heads, as we're called, we're paid to talk about you. So you better hope that we're talking about you, because the moment we stop, you become irrelevant. And then that's the real problem. So you want us all discussing. If a Monday comes and you're on the topic, if you're the topic, you better be happy, because there's going to be a time where nobody's talking about you, and there will be no articles, there will be no interviews, and that's your biggest enemy. So instead of being upset about what's being said, just be happy that these people with these platforms are speaking about you and keeping you at the forefront of media. Because, I mean, I do a show, and every Monday, it's an hour show, and there are multiple articles about that show. So be happy about that.
You've had a decorated career inside the cage. You know, you talk about just being one of the guys. As your broadcast career grows, what goals do you have?
Oh, I've got some. I've got a lot of projects in the books, man, and I'm just enjoying my time. I've got things outside of fighting. I've got some things outside of MMA, you know, so, but I love this game. I love the UFC. I love fighting. I love being around fighting. So regardless of the opportunities that are coming, I don't think I'll ever be away from this. But I tell you one thing, it's a very exciting time in my life when I do my show on Monday, but over the course of the next week, I am dealing with things outside of mixed martial arts in terms of media, because that's what I've always wanted to do. So I'm lucky. And I feel like this next act is going to be very big.
In terms of being media, what would be the thing that you would consider, you know, if winning the UFC title is it in fighting, what is winning the title in media to you?
I mean, I don't know, you know, because for me it's different, right? The baselines are so much higher than normal people. Some people say, well, if I can get on TV, it's a win. Well, I was doing that before I even quit fighting. I've been on TV since I was a young man. To work for ESPN, maybe the end-all be-all. Well, before I retired, I was working for ESPN. Just continuing to grow, continuing to commit myself to this as much as I did fighting. And as I continue to do that, the opportunities are showing that I'm going in the right direction.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.